Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that we can all go to once a week whenever it is movie night. Interesting people pop in to rent something, and we go through the films that they've loved across their life. And then when the store is quiet, I chat to my buddies about the films that we're watching on streaming platforms and out in cinemas. We're here to help you figure out what you can watch. All right, let's start the show. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was ready, interesting!
How's it, everyone?
Morning, Russell.
How you G-Force?
Good and yourself, dude.
How you Marigold?
I'm so good, thank you.
Are you well rested?
No.
Why not?
My cat.
Oh
is
God,
a terror. Yeah.
Welcome to another day here at the video store. Today on the show, a good guy, Themba Robin, is popping in to rent something.
Yep.
Do you guys know Themba?
I don't actually.
You'll recognize him the moment you see him. He is producing the most fun and great content. He's an actor. He's doing more and more comedy. You might recognize his voice because he does a lot of voiceover stuff. But he's just one of those people that I wanted to meet.
Yes.
I see him in my phone all the time, and I was like, I want to meet this person.
Beautiful.
So he's going to pop in to rent something in a moment. But for all those new to the video store, welcome. We've got ourselves a lovely day here. I've got Graeme and Marigold. And please stick around for after the chat with Themba, where the three of us are going to catch up.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk through the films that we've loved. I've recently watched the Bob Marley film.
Yeah.
Bob Marley, One Love. So I want to share my thoughts on that. There's some great TV shows out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's some upcoming movies. There's one in particular that we really need to talk about.
Yes.
So it should be a great day.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a fun chat with Themba. He's a fun dude, so I'm sure it'll be amazing.
Nice.
Do you guys have some stuff to keep you busy?
I'm going to go and try and trick some parents into renting Alien for their kids.
Nice.
Yeah.
The chest buster scene. All right, I think let's get straight into it.
Nice.
This is Themba Robin popping in to rent something. How's it?
How's it going?
It's so nice to meet you.
Russell, it's amazing to meet you, man.
With you being someone with a very strong and prolific social media presence, it feels like I know you. And I'm sure you get that a lot from people where they're like, hey, how do I know you? Who you? What?
Yeah.
But I guess it's nice for you to meet me. Because I feel like I've met you.
Well, I've listened to the podcast a couple of times now, and so I do feel like I know you to a certain degree. But it's more of a vocal acquaintance more so than...
I think that's the charm of podcasts, and that's what I knew I had to do. I had to get quite personal. I had to get perhaps very honest and vulnerable at times, because the joy of a podcast, at least a weekly podcast, is that these guys become your friends.
Yeah.
And that's the hope, is that people get to know me, Cole, Graeme, Gad, Marigold, whoever we can rope in for an episode. So thanks for listening.
No, thanks for having me.
How are things with you? What's keeping you busy at the moment? You seem to be doing lots of things.
Yeah. What's keeping me busy? It's a little bit of everything. Actually, not even a little bit. It's a lot of everything. And it's actually tough at the moment. I feel bad complaining. Yeah. But it is. It's really tough at the moment.
There's a couple of times also where I feel very... I remember there was one day where I was stressed, busy, running around Joburg, and then I was like, hold on. I have to get dumplings for our dumpling box cinema night where I get to have a place where we show anime and it's sold out, and I have to pick up T-shirts because I own a T-shirt. Hold on. Life is good.
So there's bigger problems.
What is exciting you at the moment?
Look, I mean, I think we briefly touched on the comedy before we turned on here, and so I would really like to sort of ramp up my stand-up this year. I got an opportunity last year, a couple of opportunities actually, to spend some time on stage. It all happened really fast though. I mean, like I've chatted to most of the guys, and the guys say, you know, you do your first 5 and you build it up. My first session was last year. I think it was the beginning of last year, and I'd committed myself.
You're a newbie.
Yeah, no, fresh.
In terms of stand-up.
Yeah, fresh, wet behind the ears, if they say that. And I had to go to Champagne Sports and do a 40-minute set.
So you might not have had too many of your kind of bomb moments.
No. Throughout that 40-minute set, there were plenty.
Okay, because that's quite an important part of becoming a stand-up is getting that experience, and that only happens when you do more. So, okay, so you've started some stand-up, and I want to obviously get into all of that, but you act, you produce like work that comes out on social media. You do voiceovers. You're an award-winning voiceover artist. What did you win an award for?
So we've got the African Voiceover and Podcast Awards.
Yes.
So it's
I recently heard about them. Yeah.
So it's basically just trying to consolidate the like African voices, so to speak, because it's very fragmented, and you know people are charging like the craziest prices for stuff. And so these guys have kind of got together. It's a couple of guys from Nigeria and surrounds, and they do workshops. And they got together and they said, "Hey, why don't we look at African voices and see, you know, where we're pegging amongst each other, kind of thing." And then, you know, it's a really cool accolade to have to say, "Okay, cool, I want to best in Africa."
I saw that. I saw it last year, and I do follow them because I think it's a good thing to know exists. And what did you win for?
I think it was best commercial performance on radio.
Okay.
So it was probably a 30-second spot. I never actually found out what it was. I was
you
also
don't know which one it could have been for? Okay. You do so many.
Yeah. So lucky to be very busy, yeah.
And which languages do you do?
Pretty much just English, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think generally, even when I do speak vernac, it's got a bit of a twang.
Yeah. What's the twang?
It's just people are like, no. Listen, it's got too much of an English twang.
A little Model C.
Yeah, a little Model C twang. So generally, I just, you know, I think that's what
English.
Yeah.
Okay.
With voiceover, you got to just stay in your lane.
Is that the main bread and butter? Because that can be a good source of income. Yeah.
Yeah. I think voiceovers. It's my most consistent, and I mean, I generally do one voiceover just about every day on average. But,
really?
Yeah.
And you go into studios for that?
Yeah, I also do have my own studio in London. So I've just come from there now.
Oh, cool. What did you do this morning?
It's a little audition for one of the TV stations is looking for a new station voice for the year. So
Lovely.
I was just wrapping up my little audition there, hoping to get that.
It's funny because once you have a presence on radio with a bunch of other different voiceovers, people tend to pick you because people tend to associate you with ads on radio. It doesn't matter what brand it is. And you just find guys like Brian Fanika, who I went to varsity with. He's like one of the most.
Yeah.
He does so many.
It's almost like your voice becomes familiar, therefore they'll use you more. But how do you get that going in the first place?
No, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, but you do some fun stuff. I saw you and Boa went out to Hey Neighbor.
Yeah.
And you guys do skits together, right?
Yeah.
And is that just sort of for your own fun? Is there money in that? What's the vibe?
Yeah, it's funny enough, we have stumbled upon a little bit of money, but I think everything, and this is maybe something we'll expand on a little bit later, but you know, a lot of people ask me about social media and say, "Do you make money? But you know, is it about the views and stuff?" And I'm going, "No, but the exposure is great." And I think South Africa is also at the point where, actually, the world is at the point where you got to be so careful who you pick to represent your brand. And you know, we see lots of companies, and they've always got the generic poster: one black guy, one white guy, one colored guy hanging out. Everybody's like, "Wow, you guys are trying too hard." Whereas, you know, I think genuinely Bo and I can bring to the table, we're going, hey, we're two fairly different guys, but we do get along.
And you very much match each other, and it works very well. It reminds me a little of, do you remember there was that advert with that black guy and the white guy that were in that bucky, and they were sort of leaving. Yeah, they were the plumbers, and they were leaving the White House. White guy gets in the car, drive down the road, then they get out, swap seats, change the stickers on their car, and drive into a black family's house.
Yeah.
But lovely, man. And what I saw recently that you posted, which is perhaps something we can chat about a bit now quick, is I don't think this was paid for, and I'm curious to know whether it was, just like a message about voter registration.
Yeah.
Was that just you on your own?
Yeah.
You were just basically advocating for the fact that we must all get out and make sure we registered and vote. So you just did that out of the goodness of your heart.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's part and parcel of the message. Kind of the content's always carried a message, and I think it's important for me is not to just be a funny ha-ha.
No, totally.
Kind of guy.
I think it's great.
So,
I mean, you've got this audience, and I'll never forget being embroiled in some discussion on radio about, what we can do to drive up the votes, and there were all these sort of silly ideas about what we can do at the voting stations. Yeah. And I was like, guys, we're missing the fucking point here. The main point is clear communication.
Yeah.
Not like, at some point you should maybe register. It's like, it's this weekend.
Yeah, get it done.
Make sure you registered. You can't do it on Monday. It's this weekend.
Yeah.
Then, shush. Then the voting comes up, and then you're like, now vote.
Yeah.
Now.
and you know what the crazy thing
Just
about...
go, get it done, vote. It's like, it's simple, clear, it's this weekend, go.
Yeah. But I think the craziest thing about it, and it points out to me, is that despite the fact that we have so many problems, we are really in... South Africa is a great country, and you see it when you have situations like this where people go, I should register, but I've got to play golf today.
Yeah.
Mandy and I are having croissants
but the tee off sits at 7. Yeah.
So you're going, is your life that bad that your one opportunity to have an influence on the outcome of the future of the country, you'd rather go and eat scones?
Yeah, shit, man.
But yeah,
and I think we don't have to get into it because I don't think you and I are political commentators. But life after Cyril could be very interesting if the ANC are still have the power. But it's interesting to see how we're on the cusp of things potentially changing, where that 2/3 majority that we once saw is very whittled away.
Yeah.
It could be very interesting, and I just hope it's it's for the good.
Don't want to turn around in a year's time and go, oops.
I don't want to pack up and leave, man. No, I've always been very proudly South African, and we were talking earlier about, being lucky enough to travel, and I take great joy in coming back.
Yeah.
And I always want to bring those lessons and those things back. I really wish I could fund a trip for like certain road agency civil servants to go to like Japan.
Yeah.
And go, look at these sidewalks, assholes. Look how fucking clean they are.
I've got a simple theory. Whatever your job title is or whatever, your family they're not allowed to get a private service provider of any of that service. So if you're the health minister, I don't want to hear anything about Discovery.
Go to Joburg Gen. See what happens.
Yeah. Because then you turn an internal heat up, at the family Christmas when Uncle what's his nut is not around anymore. They're going, you could have done this. You could have saved him.
Yeah.
But,
oh shit, man. Okay. So at the moment, some exciting stuff coming up. What's on the cards?
So like I said, so definitely going to be pushing the comedy this year.
What's your vibe with the comedy? Because you're very open about your family. You got kids. I think there's so much humor in being a dad.
Yeah.
Where do you sort of see your vibe going?
Yeah, I think it's purely anecdotal, sharing stories of life and the craziness that is life. Because I think there's a lot of fun in that, because we live so quickly that we often don't even take a second to realize how ridiculous some of the stuff that we do every day is. I mean, I just made a video that I need to upload just now, but it's just the way my kid wakes up. He's sick. I can see he's sick.
Yeah.
He's not going to school today. And then 2 minutes later, he's jumping on a trampoline.
He's fine.
He's perfectly fine. And then also the hypocrisy of parenting is the way that we go to school and you see another kid with a snotty nose. You're like, that is so wrong.
Yeah.
Bringing that filthy child here with their sickness, and then on the day when your kid's like sneezing and wheezing, you're like, come on, mate, you gotta back up and go to school.
You gotta go to school.
You can't stay at the house, but
it's like no one can look after you. You gotta get the fuck out of here. I've weirdly enough, little fun fact. I went to school every day of my primary school and high school. I didn't miss a day of school. I didn't consciously go, I want to try and win the award. It was a combination of probably being quite lucky that I didn't have any kind of major illness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to school with my like little bottle of Akina Force, which is that very strong like herbal flu stuff where you put the drops on your mouth.
Yeah.
Later realizing it's about 60% alcohol. But
There's the lesson.
But at the end of my sort of high school, it was like, yeah, no, you haven't missed a day.
They gave you an award.
I got this like award, yeah.
That's flippin' cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I guess I was lucky. Also, a combination of the parents that were like, get to school, man.
Well, we had a scenario where our housekeeper lady, like, she just vacuum uncontrollably for hours on end, and I had an opportunity to stay home one day, and then she just vacuumed the whole morning, and I was like, that's it. I'm never staying here.
Homes are fucking noisy in the day. And there's always a leaf blower somewhere on the street. There's always a lawnmower, and there's
And your
dogs.
activities are limited. You can't go out in the garden because you're sick now. You lay there.
But that's the day that the vacuuming needs to be done.
No sweets, nothing.
Oh, it's lovely. All right. So what we do here at the video store is we like to journey through your life because we believe that the films that you've loved across your life have kind of shaped you in some way. So we've got the 4 great loves, which are the films. Maybe there's others, but it's always interesting to see which one comes to you first.
Yeah.
Very similar to the kind of relationships you would have been having at the time. So the first is your puppy love film. So my first question is, where did you grow up?
Born Johannesburg, spent a couple of years in mostly the Eastern Cape, traveling around little towns there, but primarily PE.
Why did you travel?
My dad is he's a minister, so he had to
Religious minister.
Yeah.
Political
Not cool, not money minister.
Yeah.
He's a
Free healthcare.
he's the good deeds. Kids
Okay,
eat bread,
so
minister.
he was a religious minister.
Yeah.
Okay. What Christian? What was the? Or
Well,
what?
we're Methodist
Okay.
until my parents got divorced. Then he had to become an Anglican. So Anglican now.
Wait, Methodist, you can get divorced or not?
I don't actually.
Anglican is the more stoic,
Yeah.
somber, old school way. Methodist is
It's
a bit
fun.
more Sister Act.
Yeah. No, like drums and guitar solos
Yeah.
and stuff. Whereas
The what is it called? Worship music, but it's got another sort of name for it. But it's all like, it sounds like it's a love song, but
Yeah.
a little too much he, and then you're like, oh, I think this is a religious song.
when you finally learn the words, you're like,
When you're like,
wow.
wait, what? I don't think this is a love song. I think this is a love song to Jesus. Okay, so you grew up in a very religious household. Did you feel it?
No, we're not. We weren't overly religious. I think there was definite presence, but my dad never made it like an overbearing thing. He kind of led us, he showed us
Yeah.
what was there. And I mean, we obviously had to go to church every Sunday, and we got involved with youth and played in church
Yeah.
bands and stuff. But, when we got a little bit older, it was very much our own choice.
Where do you sort of stand now?
I'm quite a free spirit, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Only because I personally find a lot of hypocrisy.
Yeah, there's a lot that lets it down.
Yeah. And so, I felt a little bit hard done by being judged by people who, when we talk about, human beings are yin and yang. You got to have a little bit of good and a little bit of bad. And there's people that will scold you for being, mostly yin and a little bit of yang because,
Well, especially if you grew up and everyone knows that you're the minister's son.
Yeah.
It's like then you're going to get that pressure.
you got that spotlight on you.
Yeah, and then if you do anything wrong, oh, God help you.
And so you've got
Okay.
people who are like really bad in the week.
Yeah.
Judging you for 1 or 2 misdemeanors,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Okay, but you moved around to sort of small towns.
Yeah, so like Dordrecht, Maltino, places people have never heard of.
I know Maltino because there's a very cool dude called Gareth Wilson who's in the music industry, and he's a bit of a man about town.
Okay.
He told me about Maltina. Otherwise, I would have never fucking known about Maltina.
I think the claim to fame is the Omar Rusk factory.
Ah,
Yeah, so as local children, you go there for every outing. to the point where they sort of ration it off. They're like, we'll take you to the gift shop next time.
Do you remember when Omar got a little darker? Do you remember that moment?
No, what happened?
So Omar was always fucking Tunny Omar. She was always quite white. And then in an attempt for some transformation, they slowly made her skin browner until people kind of realized this. And then I don't think there was much fanfare. And then she got a little whiter again. But a good old Omar Rusk is a staple in South Africa.
No, 100%.
Okay, so that's what you grew up around. Okay, but what was the film, if you can remember, that sort of made a first impression? It's usually perhaps quite an innocent film. It's perhaps something someone showed you.
Yeah.
Does anything stand out?
Well, it was a film that I saw the first time I'd ever been to a theatre, and that was Lion King.
Lovely. What a great first film.
Yeah.
Because not only is it a cinema experience, but it's a Africa that you know.
Yeah, and it's... Well, I mean, Africa, I didn't know the Bushveld so well.
But I mean, somewhat. You'd grown up around it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you were a little kid in a European town seeing a giraffe for the first time.
Yeah, that's true. I think... And the film is just filled with a little bit of everything.
It's
the
fucking
tragedy
perfect.
And,
it is perfect.
comedy and songs and...
When you watch the live-action remake, or live-action, it just has you realize how perfect the first one was.
Yeah.
Where it was like, why did we touch this?
I struggle with the remakes, to be honest with you, because...
There was such a cash grab.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, a new Beyonce song, and it's kind of a shit song. But no, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons' Scar was great, and it's Hamlet.
Oh, yeah.
When you get a little older and you get somewhat exposed to Shakespeare, you realize that The Lion King is the story of Hamlet to the large degree.
Yeah.
You know, the uncle takes the power and then he gets banished and he comes back. And the only thing that's different is in Hamlet, the uncle marries the mom.
Okay.
Which obviously would never have done in Lion King. Okay, but you remember the moment?
Yeah, no. Well, not so much the moment, but I remember the story and just really getting attached to it, to the point where I think most of those voices are some of my favorite voices for the rest of my life. They're so dynamic and so fun, and I mean, you try and think that this is a normal walking human who created these sounds and these voices. That's incredible for me.
Were you doing the voices? Did you redo them? Were you sort of starting a little bit of a voice career at this point?
No, I didn't. I don't think I comprehended it at the time, to be honest with you. I just loved the sound of what I was hearing, and then only maybe much later, when I got into voice work now in the last sort of 7 years, I've revisited it and gone whoa, these guys are actually incredible at what they do. Yeah,
you'd appreciate this story. Halfway through the recording of "Be Prepared." The song.
Be prepared.
You know, Jeremy Irons was singing it, but then he got sick and something happened with his throat. So there's a point in that song where someone else is doing an impression of Jeremy Irons, and that someone else is arguably the most famous voiceover artist. Now I forget his fucking name, but the dude who did Winnie the Pooh. And a bunch of all of those
Tiggers and
that guy Alan Cumming? No, fuck.
I should really know it off by heart.
Doesn't matter. But that dude finished the song.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you've
it's seamless. No one ever picked up the fact that different guys started singing the song halfway through.
That's the real fans. I heard something there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're in Eastern Cape. Then we get over to high school. Perhaps things get a bit more adventurous. Where were we in high school?
Still in PE. I went to a school called Alexander Road High.
Okay.
Also had aspirations of pursuing theatre.
Nice.
And I very quickly found out that I'm not a thespian.
You know,
I love acting, I love theatre, but I don't have the thespian decorum, so to speak.
No, but I mean that could come in all shapes and sizes. What put you off acting?
It's like I say, it's almost specifically theatre. I think theatre was just a really hard grind. I don't know if it's specifically in PE, but maybe also I lacked the discipline at the time.
Yeah.
Because you have to be super disciplined. It's very much a team work thing.
Yeah. So did you try school plays?
Yeah. So there was the Gilbert and Sullivan down in PE, and so we did a couple of plays. We did Guys and Dolls.
Okay.
I did Cinderella pantomimes in the Town Theatre.
Okay.
Got to be one of the mice. I mean, really, really great experiences. But I realized,
Perhaps was it the sort of marathon effort of having to do all those shows day after day,
Yeah.
or where you were perhaps more of like a one and done guy, where you're like, I could do a show,
yeah,
but then I don't want to have to do it again.
yeah, I think that's also it. Like I really dislike doing the same thing over and over again. Even now, it's one of the things that plagues me.
Yeah.
And people are like, when you get into comedy, you just got to keep doing that same 5 minute until you've got it waxed. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
The same-
that sounds horrible.
Yeah, no, but I also feel like I'm lying to people when I'm like,
yeah, no, that was also an interesting thing for me to figure out, is that that's how comics do it.
yeah,
But I think it takes its own shape each time, and of course, comedy allows you to add or indulge or change, where I think there's less room in a play.
yeah, no, plays.
Yeah.
And actually, also there was a big time where we completely missed one of our cues, to come onto stage, and everybody threw their toys. It's like,
By we, it's what, you and the other mice?
no. So it was in Guys and Dolls, and just before halftime, just before the halftime break, there's supposed to be this huge chase scene, and there's a policeman who chases the gangsters and everything. So I was a gangster, and then I was sat out at the back. I don't even smoke, so I don't know what I was doing there, but I sat out the back step smoking with the main cop and one of the biggest gangsters. And, we just lost track of time. And we thought, we better go and check, what's happening.
Where we are in the play.
And we heard the halftime music and the curtain coming down. And what had happened is the chase scene started, but there was no cop.
So actually just running from nothing. Well, I have a very similar story. I was involved in Macbeth in high school, and I forget the name. I was someone. And my one scene was to tell Macbeth that Macduff has fled to Scotland or England. I come on and I tell him that. Well, let's just say that night nobody knew that Macduff had fled to England. And
Where
I
were
also
you?
I was in the fucking backstage bathrooms, hanging out, singing songs, enjoying the downtime.
Yeah.
And I had the teacher come in and go, "Where the fuck were you?" And I was like, "Oh shit." So yeah, I enjoyed it, but maybe it's not for us.
No.
Was any kind of like ADD creeping in at this point? You're fine in that regard.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay. What came to you in high school?
Man, there was quite a few films around that time. And I can't remember when exactly it was, but I really loved the film Stuart Little at some point.
Oh, cool.
But I think that might have even been...
Have you ever seen that meme of like the other kids at the orphanage?
No.
Where they're like, I'm a perfect like little kid, yet they choose the rat mouse. It's like, how bad must you be as a kid in the orphanage that the family pick a rat?
The options aren't great, man.
It's like that's a blow to the confidence.
I mean, what can he do?
And he's got a little car that works.
I think it's
Okay, why did you enjoy that? It's a lovely movie.
So this is quite a funny thing. We were somewhere the other day, and my wife was saying how Stuart Little came on, and she absolutely hated it. She's like, "It's the dumbest movie ever." And I had said, "Well, I really love that movie, to be honest." And then my partner at the studio, he just came out and he said, "Well, maybe it's because you were adopted and you resonate with the fact that the mouse was accepted into."
There we go.
And I had
You were adopted.
Yeah. When I was like 3.
Okay, so Dad, the minister, wasn't your biological dad.
No.
Okay,
So,
all right.
No
well,
real
that's an
biological
important thing
family.
to mention. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
No, well, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes some sense.
Yeah, but it blew my. This was like two weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
I was
I need to
today years old when I realized I have this.
Yeah, I need to go see a psychologist.
And then you look, cut to your shelf, and it's like Stuart Little, Annie. Like, all these,
There's
all
a comedy
these,
in there.
there's one common denominator. Okay, no, but that makes sense.
Yeah. So something to think about for myself.
Do you know your biological parents? Do you have any?
No, not too well. That whole area is a bit grey, and I mean, there's always opportunity to pursue it, but at the moment,
There's two clear paths. You either
Yeah.
want to, or you are very happy to not.
yeah. And I think for most of my life, I've been quite happy to just live my life. It's the only life I've ever known, so quite happy to
Exactly, sure.
pursue it. But subconsciously, I think a part of me goes, hey, you need to, for your own wellness, you sometimes need to tap into that and understand.
If it's even possible,
Yeah.
was it possible for you?
It is fairly possible. But I think at the moment, career-wise, I'm having to develop and understand what sort of brand I'm creating very quickly. I've got a nearly 3-year-old and a 1-year-old at home.
Yeah.
So, life at the moment is just completely at capacity. I
You
don't
don't
know.
have the emotional capacity
Yeah, I
to
don't
bring
think-
in anyone else. Yeah,
Tapping that tempered glass isn't a great idea.
yeah, sure. But you said your folks got divorced, hey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are they still around now?
Yes, my dad's in Middelburg in the Eastern Cape.
Is he still spreading the good word?
Yeah.
Cool.
He does it in his Velskun there in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And then my mum's in the UK now, and she does a bit of caring up there. But that side of the family is originally from the UK, so she's essentially back home.
Okay. Are they both white?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also forget to lead with that sometimes.
No, well, the Feldskun sort of hinted at something, so I just thought it'd be worth asking. Okay, so we had Stuart Little. You think that was about high school, eh?
Yeah, it might have been.
It could have been a bit earlier.
It could have been a little bit earlier.
How old are you now?
I'm 33 now. 33,
Okay.
34, 1990 baby.
1990.
Yeah. So it actually could have been a little bit sooner because
I got a great story. One time we had to pack the van to travel as a band.
yeah.
And Jake, the drummer in our band, is the youngest. Ironically, mentally, he's the oldest and wisest. but he was born in 1990, and I always cluck that as like a thing.
Yeah.
Where some of us are 1985 babies, and at one point it involved potentially Jake having to now sit on my lap because we were running out of space in the van. And I said, "Okay, Jake, come sit on my lap, and I'll tell you about the 80s." Oh, good old 1990.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's say Stuart Little. That's good. Any other ones?
So there was so many films around that time, and like I thought of all my favorite films, and now I don't
No, it's
know
all
which
right.
one was where. But there was one or two. There was Deep Blue Sea. Deep Blue Sea had just come out. I think probably
That's a shark one.
Yeah.
Oh,
but,
shit.
But it was also like we were teens then.
I
and
remember
there was
watching
like,
that.
It's like sharks, bikini, action.
Yeah.
The best combination for
No, and like
for a 13, 14-year-old boy.
arguably the best way Samuel L. Jackson's ever died. Where he's just standing on the side of the pool
Yeah.
and the shark just comes out of nowhere and just munches him in one go.
Yeah.
LL Cool J.
Yep. He was I think he was the chef.
And it was back in the day when you could star in the movie and then do the cool song
Yeah.
at the end. It's like a very Will Smith kind of contract where it's like, I'll only do the movie if I can do the song.
Yeah.
And then it's going to kick in at the credits and I get to do the song in the music video. That was cool. It was like the sharks get smarter.
Yeah.
They sort of track them down. They're all kind of underwater in a basement like facility, like an underwater facility.
Yeah. And
And they were studying the sharks.
Yeah.
There were some good-looking women in the movie.
Very much so.
Pools of blood when people got chomped.
Arms
it was
missing.
cool. It was a good movie.
And like lots of like scenes where like you'd have that one limb just floating and then
Yeah.
twitching.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that, I mean, yeah, surprisingly, that's not even my cup of tea. But for some reason,
That
at
sticks
that
out.
age, I was like,
Yeah. No.
this is crazy cool.
Okay. All right. So we were at high school in PE,
Yeah.
and then any varsity, any college.
A brief stint, eh?
Okay.
A brief stint.
What did we dabble in?
A little bit of sound engineering.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but
Still in the Eastern Cape.
still in the Eastern Cape. Yeah, tried my hand at sound engineering. That didn't quite work out. Yeah, I just
What was
went
the
to
hope
work.
at that point? What did you want to be?
I don't think I even had a plan, to be honest with you.
It's just like, here's something.
Yeah.
Okay, and then when did you move to the big city?
So I've been in Joburg for about 7 years now. So I probably moved here at about 23, 24.
Okay.
Must have been 25. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Was that the next move after sound engineering? Where did we go after that?
I just bounced around doing random jobs. So actually, somehow I talked myself into a job at one of the biggest shipping companies in the world. It's to work for Maersk Line Shipping.
Oh, okay.
So I used to do the vessel ops and stowage plans. It was
okay.
It was a hell
I guess
of a job.
I guess PE, creates these kinds of jobs, right? Being a harbour and where stuff comes in.
Yeah. So
what were you in charge of?
too much.
What did you have to do?
So like we had to do stowage plans. So when a vessel comes into the port, they obviously discharge.
Just the fact that you use the word vessel. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like whenever you talk to someone like in the car sale or car service industry, they don't say car, they say vehicle.
Yeah.
It's like we don't say vehicle. Sir, the vehicle, sir.
The appropriate terminology. Yes.
So the vessel.
Yeah.
Not the ship. The vessel.
The vessel berths in the port, and
look at you
get
go.
pushed alongside, and then you do your discharge and your load, and then all your containers weigh different weights, so anything from 16 to 30 tons, depending on what they're carrying, but that weight has to be displaced accordingly
on the vessel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then so you got to worry about the
that makes
ship's
sense
balance.
because otherwise it could topple over.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you also got to make sure you're not putting boxes in the wrong place. So if you're going Cape Town, PE, Durban, you don't want to have Durban boxes underneath.
Oh, and by boxes, you're talking about the big shipping containers.
Yeah, the containers, yeah.
So you played it like a little bit of Tetris, so to speak. Like you had to kind of plan these ones accordingly.
Yeah, logistical Tetris.
Oh, wow.
Which was quite fun. But it turns out that was a sort of 24-hour job. You just never switch off. You're always on call. And I played in a little band at the time, a little 3-piece band called Written in Scarlet. So, gigging and...
What did you do?
I was the percussionist.
Nice.
Yeah, I played a little bit of djembe and drums when
cool.
occasion presented itself.
Were you actually like full kit at any point?
No, never got full kit. It just and never was really a viable option in PE. To lug a whole kit around. They liked the little 3-piece band. So for a long time we were the resident Friday night band at Barney's on the beachfront.
Oh, lovely, man.
Which was quite cool. But yeah, so you can't go and play a gig and then go to the harbour.
Yeah.
at 11 at night
and
after
control
2 beers.
like sort of millions of dollars worth of stock. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, that's an interesting job.
Yeah, no. I mean, still fascinates me. If I'd been a little bit older, I think I would have maybe pursued it. But it also is a very predictable job. So a lot of the guys in my office said to me at the time, they're like, "Listen, mate, you're 23.
Yeah.
You're a young black guy working in logistics. They're like, just ride this out for 5 years.
This is a decent wave.
Yeah, you're gonna be sitting in Durban ops in no time." And I was like, "Sick, okay, cool." But having a look at like everybody else around the office, that's just all they did. All they did for their entire lives was eat, sleep, and drink
Shipping
vessels
containers.
and containers, and
Themba's destined for a bit more greatness.
well, at the time I didn't know what, but I was just
But
like,
did you feel that? Did you feel like I need to do something of more substance or something of more joy or comedy? Or, like, what was your feeling?
It was wanting more so to do have more variety. It's just to go, hey guys, I can't be boxed in as just this guy. I'd like to think I'm funny and like I'm musical and stuff. And if I take this route, all of those characteristics die.
Yeah.
That's it. There will be no space for them. And so it was almost a pursuit to go, how do I design a life where all these things can live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then now we perhaps are designing this life. We are working, building our career. We call this the It's Getting Serious film, which is like, it's not just a little relationship like in high school or a little puppy love. Now we're sort of perhaps moving in, we're thinking of getting engaged. It's like a little more adult.
Yeah.
Any films resonate at that point?
So it was probably an old film by that stage.
Sure.
But Snatch is probably,
Nice.
I think Snatch has to be one of my all-time favorites.
Okay.
Just it's so layered. There's so much going on. There's and I'm a big fan of British comedy,
Yeah.
just in general.
Yeah.
So those quirky little one-liners and
No,
stuff.
he got it, and that was his sort of big shining moment.
Yeah.
Him being Guy Ritchie, because he was saying at the time, it wasn't hard to write because that's what was around me. That's what people were saying in bars. These were
Yeah.
the stories. These were the characters I was meeting. This was my world, and obviously amplified and refined it. But did you know? Funny. This is a little fun fact that Brad Pitt's character,
Oh,
you know,
Mickey.
and the fact that you couldn't really hear what he was saying.
Yeah.
Do you know that was devised the night before he had to shoot?
No ways.
So he had the role, had the script, was down on set, and was struggling to kind of figure out his character. And being Brad Pitt, he perhaps didn't have a lot of time to commit
Yeah.
to this kind of what was at that point quite a smaller role, right? And I think he was on the phone with Guy Ritchie and he just saying, I don't know how to do this. I can't figure out this character. Till eventually they realized that you actually don't need to understand what he says.
Yeah.
Like what he actually says doesn't drive the plot.
Yeah.
And that's when they came up with the fact that let's make him undiscernible.
Completely. Yeah.
Fight for it, for the caravan.
I think those laughing moments also like just you standing there going, and this oak is completely confident, but then
Yeah.
he also like gets these sneaky little like these fine little one-liners, and he's there's one point after the whole caravan thing's gone flop, and he goes, save your breath to cool your porridge. Just like
great.
who says stuff like
So
that?
lovely. And like, why do they call him the bullet dodger? Because he dodges bullets, you fucking idiot. But it's lovely. Then Guy Ritchie went on famous, married Madonna, did a bunch of more kind of commercial films. But it looks like there's quite a fun return to that Guy Ritchie coming out soon. A trailer's just dropped for a new film called The Gentleman of Ungodly Warfare, or the Ungentlemanly Warfare. And it's all about like a secret wing in World War II of soldiers.
Yeah.
It looks very interesting. I'm going to get you, while we're chatting,
Definitely.
I'm going to get you the right name of the film. But it's very Guy Ritchie.
You know what I think I particularly like about the whole Snatch thing is you've got quite a star-studded cast, not crew.
Yeah.
And what I find nowadays is I think a lot of films really just use that as a crutch. They'll come up with a relatively weak storyline and then they'll just put all the big names in it. So you've got 7 people who should really be leads in their own film. And then there's a terribly weak storyline, and it's just the names
sometimes it's
carrying
too much.
people to the box office.
It's called The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Okay.
And it looks very cool. So part of what we do here at the video store is I try and find a movie for you to rent. That's why you've come and visited.
Yes.
So I'm curious to know whether you've seen the film The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
I haven't. No, I haven't. But I've heard.
Henry Cavill, but that's Guy Ritchie, and that's good Guy Ritchie. Okay, I'm going to give you that to rent.
It's on like a scone.
It's so good. I watched it on the plane. It's just got such great style because it's that old 60s spy stuff. So they've got early Connery Bond level gadgets.
Yeah.
And it's so slick.
But the gadgets in every spy film is just, it's incredible how exciting it is always. It's
totally. And I always wonder where are we right now?
yeah.
Don't you wish you could actually go to the CIA, just get that full access and go where are we at right now?
Yeah.
What
Do
is
you have the Men in Black flashy thingy?
what is the most advanced thing that we have?
Yeah.
Because only governments can fund that sort of stuff. It costs way too much to have any kind of private person do. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is a great film, and it has old Henry Cavill, and it's got Armie Hammer in it.
Okay.
Very cool name.
Yeah.
Armie Hammer. No, you'll dig it. Okay, now we on to our last film, which maybe you've already answered, which is the film you would settle down with. Which is a sort of all-time favorite. It could be one of the ones you've mentioned before. Maybe you haven't met it yet. But what do you think is your sort of all-time?
It's probably going to be Napoleon Dynamite.
Lovely.
It's
Gosh.
Gosh, Tina, eat this food, you stupid llama.
That's cool. What do you love about it?
I think I just love the fact that there's no form factor to it. Like almost when I watch a film now, if I see a scene, I know that scene's in it for a reason.
Yeah.
We don't just shoot stuff for no reason kind of thing. And I watched one of the worst films I think I've ever seen, called Vanquish. I think it's called Vanquish. It's Ruby Rose and Morgan Freeman.
Okay.
But like, it's just from beginning to end, it is
just clumsy.
It's awful, man. Crossfade. Like you almost feel like the editor only had crossfade as a transition. Because it's just
like the other keyboard, the other key on his keyboard was broken, and he's like, "No, this is what we're doing."
Yeah, and it's long crossfades and stuff. But like that film has scenes, and you're just like, "What was the point of putting that in there?"
Why? Yeah.
Whereas Napoleon Dynamite, you see these scenes, and somehow
they make sense.
Somehow they add value. Like the opening bit, he's got this little toy soldier or whatever, rolled up on a string. And the bus is driving, and he unravels it, and he lets the little toy out the window, and it sort of unravels and bounces on the road as the bus goes past. And that has no context to anything.
But it kind of also builds sort of who he is.
Yeah.
It's like you're a kid in high school and you're playing with toys.
Yeah.
No, it was a very special movie that it teeters on the line of like whether or not we can make fun of autism, but with
a modern look back,
maybe in a modern lens, but it's still fun, and it's still ultimately like a great film. Okay, that's special. I guess it's just humor, a uniqueness in humor, like
it's
you kind of seeking out something that's new and different and fresh.
Yeah, I think again it's that whole point that it didn't fit any particular mold, or it didn't have the bones of a film kind of thing. It was just happening. It was just there, just for the sake
very
of
free and silly, and I think that's what we all need, right?
And then moments of brilliance, just like there's when he dances to the Jamiroquai Can't Heat thing. And I mean, that dance sequence, I think, has just been isolated and sent out to the world a million times.
But also, like, you see so much of that nowadays where someone's like, they saw how successful that was as an idea. And many films do that now, where they go, let's have a fun sequence.
Yeah.
Where it's like, for a moment, this is going to turn into a music video.
Yeah.
We spoke about it the other day with Argyle, which is now in cinemas. And they do the same thing where they're like, in this moment, music starts and it's basically a music video.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to have fun and this is going to be preposterous.
Yeah.
And that was probably one of the first times we saw it.
Yeah.
Where it was like, all of a sudden, we're like, we're just going to get this like silly dance.
And
it worked.
Yeah. And I mean, Canned Heat, what a number. I mean,
and it was also a very low budget.
Yeah.
Which is inspiring for someone like yourself who is often shooting just with a camera phone, and you want to make these kind of quick, easy, fun skits.
Yeah. I think that's even just a really important thing, I think, for like young creatives to take on board also. And I know you've probably heard the saying that all gear, no idea. And you know, we've got these guys who have these incredible like equipment rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, people are always most invested in the story.
Yeah, and a good idea and a good solid heart. And a good solid thing, you talking about crossfades now, just the editor only doing crossfades, it made me think it's a very weird tangent. Just go with me. But as a musician, maybe you'd appreciate it. There was an era in the big studio 80s, you know, when there was quite a mystery as to sort of how you made music.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays you can just do it on your computer. It's a lot easier. Apparently there was a guy, this fictitious guy that a lot of studios in LA and big famous bands would say that they needed as a special engineer to do the fade out. So they would say to the record label, we need extra budget to bring in the fade out guy.
Yeah.
And this fade out guy is going to come in and expertly do the fade out. And the studios were, okay, but whatever you need. But that extra budget was all going to drugs. But there
Just
were
to get faded, man.
There were stories of the fade out.
Yeah.
where all they did was just turn the volume down.
Like I always say, it's so scary in the world that we live in. If you don't have an inkling what the person does that's come to help you, they could just like
take you for a ride. Eh?
I mean, there's lots of things you can imagine going to a mechanic, and he looks at your car and says, "Well, you need a new defibrillator."
Yeah, and you're like, "Oh, that sounds expensive."
Yeah, and he goes, "Well, you guessed right. It is expensive. It's gonna take 2 weeks to get there,
shame.
and you wouldn't know where to locate it in the engine." And I mean, we do that with sound and stuff, once or twice, and it's not good to speak ill of your clients by any means.
Yeah.
But sometimes somebody will come in and say, I like it. It's just sounding a little bit like this. Maybe we can tweak this, and then you touch some things and you play it back, and they're like, yeah, that's it.
But you did fuck all.
And you did nah.
You did nothing. Yeah. No, it's very mental in that sense.
Oh.
But listen, man, I appreciate you.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
for
me.
making the time.
Thank you for the space and the platform, and I think now that we've chatted,
Yeah.
we might hang out a little more.
Yeah, totally. And hopefully we're going to get you on the Bioscope stage.
Yeah.
Because Bioscope Sundays can be a very easy gym for you
Yeah.
to hammer out those 5 minutes. The same 5 minutes.
The first time you mentioned gym earlier, I was like, I thought you literally meant.
Oh, no.
meant
I was speaking
gym.
very figuratively.
Yeah.
As you will no doubt now come to see, you've got to exercise that muscle. That stand-up muscle needs constant work and attention.
Yeah.
And it needs to be done in front of people.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going to try a little hook on the one joke, and then you're going to get the response, and you go, shit, next week I'm going to try it differently. So you got to refine it. So we'd love to have you here for that, and then anything long form, the Bioscope's here for you, man.
Those will make a small feature film somewhere.
Yeah, and then also obviously the filmed content. If you ever need to premiere it, if you ever want to do any kind of screening,
No shot, man.
it'd be nice to have you. But I'll just I'll see you down the road, and maybe you could come back in as well. This is not always a one and done thing with the video store.
No.
If you're a regular customer and you come in every now and again.
Well, I'll definitely have to come back and tell you about The Man from U.N.C.L.E. So.
Yeah, well, let me know what you think. I don't quite know where it's available in South Africa, but it's out on the seas as well, as we say, where you can get your hands on it.
Awesome.
Lekker, man. I'll see you soon.
Yeah. Cheers.
Okay, bye. All right. What a fun chat.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed him. It's amazing how some people can just bring out the comedian in you.
Yes.
And I was quite funny. I thought it's just funny how sometimes that happens. The voiceover artist I couldn't remember at the time is Jim Cummings.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, you told me that fact
Oh, did I?
about the scar.
Oh,
prepared
right. Yes.
thing.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, that's an important one.
Yes.
But yeah, we at some point we were talking about your cat.
Yes. Yes.
Marigold.
Quirvis.
You have this cute little cat called Quirvis.
Yeah.
And was he being a bit of a dickhead?
He was so evil. Like the past 24 hours, he's just had this complete switch.
Should we make a horror movie about an evil cat called Quirvis?
Yeah.
Yes.
A demonic cat.
Did you ever read the Goosebumps about the cat?
No, I
And
was
that
never
always-
a Goosebumps reader.
Okay.
I was a little bit older when it came out.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, there's one, and I've always had black cats. Quirvis is black and white, but I've always had black cats, and it's about like a black cat and cats do this, and Quirvis does this, where he'll sit on your head
Yeah.
when you're sleeping,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like a very safety, nice thing.
Yes.
But in the book, the cat moves onto the girl's face and like
Right.
suffocates her in her
Oh,
sleep.
wild.
Yeah.
What is the R.L. Stein fact? There's something about how prolific. This is the author of Goosebumps.
Yes.
He created an R.L. Stein Award for literacy, and he gave it to himself,
Oh,
or
right.
like something.
Yes.
But he sold more books than I think anyone.
Yo.
There's some fact about how many books he sold, and it was just because he wrote as many as he did. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays I guess kids are consuming more TV shows than
100%.
books.
Yes.
Yeah.
back in the day, like
Goosebumps
he
were
wrote-
fun. They were
Yeah.
super fun.
Yeah.
I must actually try find them.
Yeah, I think there was a good time and place for them.
Mm.
What have you guys been enjoying? I can talk about a few things. I watched the Bob Marley film.
Okay.
Bob Marley, One Love.
Oh, nice.
It came out on Valentine's, which
Yes.
is an interesting move. I guess
Yeah.
it's the timing of it. This is the big biopic about Bob Marley. This is the one very much endorsed by his family.
Right.
This is the one.
Yes.
I think there's been attempts and there's been documentaries and all that kind of stuff, but like this was definitely felt to be like the crack.
Okay.
And I think they did an amazing job. It felt super authentic
Cool.
to the point where like there was some times where I think I needed subtitles because they had like the thickest accents
Amazing.
and they're fighting. But of course, like, okay, so I don't know why necessarily it was Valentine's because one of the subplots is his relationship with his wife,
Okay.
Yeah.
which I didn't really know about. And of course, this is what's nice about this documentary is that you get this layer about their relationship and their career together because she was also singing on stage with him often.
Yeah.
But no, they're having this like fight in Europe and you can like hardly understand what they're
Right.
saying. But it felt super authentic.
Cool.
I kind of wanted it to give me more goosebumps.
Right.
Throwback to
Okay.
10
Yeah.
minutes ago. No, I did want it to give me a bit more. Sadly, it didn't. But
Okay.
but I thought it felt to be the most authentic storytelling
Okay.
of him I could imagine.
Mm. How does it hold up to like? Because there's this thing about biopics, specifically music biopics, where they all follow the exact same structure.
Yeah, I think it stayed on point. Some
Okay.
people, I was hearing these mixed reports building up to it, where some people were saying there's not nearly enough music,
Right.
and I was like, oh my god, how do you not do enough music in a Bob Marley
Yes.
biopic? But there was plenty music.
Okay.
So I don't know what the fuck they were talking about.
Yes.
But yeah, whether or not, he lived this amazing, fantastic life,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Right.
He did he tried, a lot of the backstory is him trying to help the politics in Jamaica,
Yes.
which was bad. And he was a victim of it in the beginning, and then he left and spent a lot of time away, got very famous in the rest of the world. And that was probably why he got as famous as he did, where if he'd stayed in Jamaica, perhaps he wouldn't have been as much of a global icon or have brought reggae music to the world.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he sort of tried to help unite the two parties that were fighting in the Civil War.
Okay.
So yeah, there was a lot more that I didn't know.
Cool.
My mom and my dad are very big Bob Marley fans.
Cool.
My dad especially, he's like obsessed with Bob Marley. And my mom, I don't know how correct it is, but she told me that he was very against the hippie movement and he was more into the punk movement
Oh.
when it came to music. So, I mean,
Sorry,
lot of
who was?
Bob Marley.
Okay.
Yeah, so he wasn't like all for like free love and Woodstock vibes. He was way more into
He was
like
more
the Clash.
Right.
And,
Okay.
yeah, he even has that punky reggae party song, which is very cute.
Yeah, there's
and-
scenes of him discovering that. in the
Oh,
movie.
okay.
yeah.
And there's scenes
I think
of
he
him
was
like,
good friends with the Clash. I think.
Yeah, you see him at these sort of London clubs, and you see him, them with it almost looks like a sort of weird version of Cool Runnings, where like these sort of four rusters are in this like punk club, and you see them sort of
It's
getting
like
it.
how my mom and dad met. That's the
Really?
that's the scene.
Your folks quite political.
I mean, they were very much anti-apartheid. So my
Sure.
dad's a Zimbabwean Rastafarian, and my
Hey.
mom's a Greek punky hippie lady.
Right.
Yeah,
Really,
Yeah.
I've never quite known your
Yeah.
heritage.
it's crazy.
Zimbabwean Rasta meets Greek hippie.
Yeah, slash punk. Yeah.
That's amazing. My folks went to the Caribbean when there was the World Cup, the Cricket World
Oh,
Cup,
yes.
and they were quickly told, "Don't be deceived. You are not allowed to smoke weed
Okay.
just on the streets
Yeah.
of Jamaica. Like it is illegal."
Yes.
Yeah.
But the Rastas are almost like the sort of, I don't know, it'd be wrong to call them this, but like they're like their own little sect of people that kind of live up in the mountains, and they are like kind of left to themselves.
Okay.
Like they kind of the police would turn a blind eye to them,
Right.
Because it's part of their religion. But a dude will sell you weed on the streets of Jamaica and say it's fine, and then get his friend to arrest you. So
Oh my
10 minutes
goodness.
later,
Right.
you bribe the policeman, they share the profits, like, and that just
Oh,
happens over and
wow.
over
Oh
again.
wow!
But yeah, it was cool. There was also, in this movie, there was a little bit of a lesson in Rastafarianism. They kept saying Rastafari. Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Rastafari,
Yeah.
because it's I is us.
Yeah.
It's not you. It's not me. We're
I and
together.
I.
I and I. Okay, sorry. You should be explaining this.
I don't know too much. Like my relationship with my dad isn't too good, but
Okay.
I do know a little bit because I also used to work with Rastafarians.
Right.
That was my first job. Was
Selling weed.
no cooking actually.
Cooking
Hi,
weed.
Tal. No.
I had a friend who this absolute stoner from the States who would put it in like cooking oil.
Yes.
And
I mean,
o-
I have.
That
I have.
opened up a world of possibility. They were
Yes.
eating like weed schnitzels.
Yeah, I mean, I have cooked with weed before. It's very fun. There's that show, I think, Cooking with Cannabis. That's super cool where they like cook gourmet food with
Oh wow!
weed.
Right.
And then
Where
like
is it? Do you know?
I'm not I think it might have been on Netflix at
Okay.
some point,
Okay.
and it's and even on YouTube.
Yeah, it sounds like that. Yeah.
And it was really cool. They had like different guests and comedians come on, like Snoop Dogg would come on and try this
Yeah,
like
yeah.
food, and
Right.
it was very cool.
What did you do for the Rastafarians? Apart from peddle ganja on the streets?
No.
I'm just joking. Yeah.
I worked at Maboneng, at the
Hmm.
market, and then Neighbor Goods as well. And we made, so their restaurant or stand before they opened the restaurant was called Exotically Divine. And it was all
Okay,
vegan.
but like Caribbean food.
Mixture.
Because there was definitely that point where the whole world was like, oh, Caribbean food's amazing.
It's
Yes.
amazing, yeah.
Like jerk chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was 100% vegan.
Okay.
This was all vegetarian, no, vegan food.
Yeah.
And incredible. I don't know if you ever saw it at markets. It was served in a lettuce bowl because it was
Oh, cool.
biodegradable packaging as well. So they actually served.
So you spent a lot of time at the Mubbening market,
Yeah.
very close to where you would one day work.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just down the road from the bioscope.
Exactly.
Did you ever come and visit?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think we've spoken before
Oh,
on the
yeah?
podcast about what when we made the movies.
Oh, yes.
the
You
whole
guys
movie
did talk about
factory.
The
that.
Oh, yeah,
movie.
yeah. You were a part of that.
And
And
then
that was great. There was
yeah.
this moment where Marigold was talking about interacting with the home movie factory,
Yeah.
which is something I remember in the early parts of the bioscope.
Yes.
And then at one point I was like, wait, how old were you with that? And you were like, I was 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like meanwhile, like that was me like as a fully fledged adult,
Yeah.
like
Yep, yep.
doing something with the bioscope. That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
S-
But we lived up the road, so we used to come quite often
Oh,
to
cool.
watch screenings. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Speaking of stoners and being a stoner and stoner comedy, I guess.
Yeah.
You know the movie Ted? There were two Teds. The
Yes.
Talking Teddy Bear with Seth MacFarlane.
Yes.
There is now a TV show
Okay.
on
Oh.
Showmax.
Right.
Yeah.
With Seth MacFarlane?
So it's so Seth MacFarlane, who just back of the box everybody knows from Family Guy, American Dad, 100 Ways to Die in the West,
Yeah.
Orville, just a great creator of movies and TV shows. He is the voice of
Yes.
the teddy bear, so he still does the voice.
Okay.
And this TV show is set in the kind of high school days of the Mark Wahlberg's character.
Okay, so it's like a prequel to the movies.
It's a prequel series.
Okay. All right.
But it's great. It still delivers. It's still as unfiltered,
right.
because it was always quite like raw and
Yes.
and quite, quite explicit.
Yeah. I remember it being quite hectic.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I
It's
don't
funny,
know.
but it's
I like it.
Cool.
it's not really my humor, you know.
No,
It's just
the
like
kind of
the-
dude humor.
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's not for everyone. But I like Seth MacFarlane's humor.
Okay.
I think there is a wit to it,
Mm-hmm.
as much of it being a sort of crass stoner
Yes.
comedy. I think it's still a smart stoner comedy.
Cool.
So I've been enjoying that.
Nice.
What have you guys?
I'm trying to remember the name and I'm trying to look it up now, but on the weeds front, the ganja, there's that, I can't remember the name now for the life of me, show also on Showmax that started as a web series.
Okay.
And then they made an actual show out of it that follows a drug dealer who sells weed.
Right.
Okay.
And it's like, it's more so about his clients than him.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And he's the one character that's always in it. And it's such a beautiful, like, feel-good...
Fiction story or a reality TV?
Fiction, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it's beautiful. The soundtrack, incredible. Absolutely
Okay,
incredible.
but we don't know what this is called.
Yeah, let me find it quick.
In the meantime, I'm going to tell my cat story when you were telling a story about how Quibus the cat was being a dickhead and sitting on your face. I'll never forget spending a night with
Yes.
a girl.
Right.
Ooh, a very long time ago, long before I met the love of my life, who
Yes.
I'm now engaged to. And she had this little kitten who was the most adorable little thing in the world.
Yeah.
But it kept crying and annoying me at night to the point where at about 2 a.m, I was like, I fucking hate this little thing. And I just remember thinking, I've never hated such a cute thing in my life.
And that's how I felt last night. I was
Like
so
you are
mad.
so adorable. You are literally the most adorable thing in the world,
Yes.
making
So
the
mad.
cutest noise. But I was like, it is so annoying right
Yeah.
now.
I was so mad.
I house sat once, and in the main bedroom, the parents' bedroom, which of course I would then sleep in if I'm house sitting, the master bedroom, they said, yeah, and we leave this window open and the cat comes in really early and comes in under the covers. Don't be alarmed.
Right.
Cute.
And I was like, cool. Didn't think about it again until at 5 a.m, this cat came under the covers and started scratching my legs,
So that's horrible.
my feet. And I was like, never again.
Yeah.
This
never
is what
again.
Pinky was doing last night. You're listing all the things. Like, Quibby was like,
That was the scariest, most unsettling thing that's
horrible.
ever happened in my life. And so I slept in the girls' room or something for the rest of this house. That I was like, in the middle of the night, I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding
Yes.
me. Like, how could you ever tolerate this?
no, it's brutal.
It's
And
so scary.
usually he's been so good, but I think because I worked like really hectic hours this past weekend, I was like tattooing and then going to DJ and then I was barely home this weekend. I
Yeah.
think I've noticed now he gets frustrated.
Okay.
And then
Right.
he's like, okay, I'm going to be a terror because I'm frustrated and I haven't had enough attention. So I'm going to just
Interesting.
fuck shit up.
Why
Yeah.
don't you get one of those backpacks with the little hole and take him everywhere like
So,
Taylor Swift?
I have a harness. We go for walks very often.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But I don't think smoking kills is a good place for a cat.
And old Gad, Gad, one of our co-workers
Yeah.
here, has got this little pug. He brought the pug to the bar in Greenside when we were young,
Wild.
Bob's.
Oh.
And I was like, Gad, get your dog out of this bar. He's like, it's fine. I'm like, it's going to go deaf.
Literally.
Yeah.
That
And I
literally.
think Shaniqua is deaf.
Oh,
because
Shaniqua.
I named it.
Napoleon Dynamite Shaniqua or just Shaniqua?
No, I actually didn't think about Napoleon Dynamite. No, we were driving on a road trip for the band once, and he said, no, I want to get a dog. I want to get a pug. And I was like, I think your dog should have a strong African-American woman's name.
Beautiful.
And he's like, so what do you have in mind? And I was like, Shaniqua. And he's like, done.
Gorgeous. The show is called High Maintenance.
Okay.
Oh, high maintenance, and we think it's on Showmax.
Yeah.
Cool.
Showmax? Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is where Ted is. Ted is on Showmax,
Yeah.
by the way. So Showmax is doing well.
It
Cool.
is. I
They've
just hate
just-
the freaking layout.
No, but it's changed.
It has changed, but it's still like
You don't like the new layout.
I don't know, something about it. It's like you search things and then it doesn't really show you what you're searching for. Whereas like Netflix is like you search post-apocalyptic, you're going to get post-apocalyptic films.
Yeah.
Whereas
So-
Showmax is just like not quite there.
I
yet.
heard that in Netflix, you can believe there's probably like a bunch of staff whose sole job is to come up with those subgenres. And apparently it's for stuff that hasn't even been made yet. But
Right.
they've built these keywords like post-apocalyptic
Yeah.
weed drama.
Yeah,
Like, whatever.
exactly. You know?
Like they've figured out all these little subgenres and that's just the difference.
but it's
like
just easy,
Yeah.
you know.
the
like,
one is like $1 billion like streaming service,
True.
and the other, like Showmax, is doing well.
Yeah.
It's actually the dominant one in Africa, funny enough. But yeah, sometimes you just see the difference where you're like, this is operated from a building in Randburg.
Yeah. Well, because now the new one, because they changed it, because I think about 30% of Showmax now is owned by Universal. So this is basically a reskin of the Peacock streaming platform. So they've taken that app and like turned that into Showmax.
But it definitely is better.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
I haven't
definitely
used
is
it
be-
yet,
It
but
definitely
yeah.
is
I
better.
was on it last night.
And I
Cool.
appreciate Showmax, and I appreciate
I
the
do too.
people from Showmax.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's a lovely dude. Shout out to Kevin.
Okay.
He
Go
emails me weekly and tells me about all the cool stuff coming out.
Sick.
Cool.
You watched The Creator, Graham?
I did watch The Creator over the weekend.
Because it's now on
Disney Plus, yeah. Because it's one of the many studios that Disney owns, Regency or something. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you weren't wowed by it.
Yeah, I think like technically it's incredible. Like it's wild. I mean, it's insane to say something like it only cost $80 million.
Yeah.
But it
That-
did only cost $80 million, which in comparison to like the latest Fast and the Furious cost like more than $300 million.
Yeah. Do you know about The Creator, Marigold? It was it got everyone's attention a while ago. It was the guy who did Rogue One,
Yeah.
Okay.
and he made this. I think this is what's interesting about this film, and that's probably the last thing we need to kind of talk about it. Is
Yeah.
that he shot it like this big budget sci-fi movie. It's got Denzel Washington's son in it,
Yeah.
but it's like huge sci-fi stuff on what is relatively low budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what he's saying. It's still $80 million,
Yes.
but that's nothing for this kind of movie. And he shot it on cameras that we could all have.
Yeah, it was like relatively consumed, like Sony F3.
You know, your average film guy shoots on these kinds of camera, even the digital cameras that like none of us can afford.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of them are shot on cameras you can't buy. You have to rent them from Arri.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
You literally
right,
can't
right.
buy them because they're so expensive.
Yeah. And that's how everyone kind of makes their money. There's a whole economy there. But yeah, he was trying to prove something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By doing it in this way, and it's a great. I
That's
think it's a great
cool.
movie. It's
That's
a
very
solid.
cool.
It's a solid movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of heart, little glimpse to the sort of future of AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. I think the thing I found a little, like, I wanted it to kind of allow itself to be distracted more. Like, because it has
That's interesting. What does that mean?
interesting ideas that it kind of really skirts over. Like the idea of AI that's so advanced that it's forming religion. And they have like funeral rites. And I'm like, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
That is
But it
cool.
kind of just happens like sort of in the background. And it's mostly like this much more traditional sci-fi thing. I'm like, cool, just let yourself like go off the path a little bit.
Yeah.
I really would have
Interesting.
enjoyed that.
That's fun.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's cool.
That's interesting because sometimes you really want them to not go down that path.
Yeah, exactly.
Argyle is the movie that we spoke about last week, which is the big movie in cinemas. And there were a couple of moments where you're like, you're being too distracted.
Yes.
Like, stay on point. Yeah, like tell the story.
I love that. I really do.
Sometimes
love
it's
it when
great.
it's like
Yes.
when a film has like more lore and you're like,
Yes.
okay, cool. This is why this is happening. And I know
Yeah.
you're not focusing on the main story, and we've gone so far away. But it's like
Yeah.
it brings me back. You know.
Yes.
You mentioned your busyness of DJing.
Yeah.
We hopefully going to have you DJ at a short store show soon.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm sober, so
Okay.
things have been very hard. DJing has been very hard lately.
Okay, well, let's talk
Yeah.
about this. I noticed you running more,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so that's gone hand in hand with drinking less
Yeah. It
or
was
drinking nothing.
It was just like a bit of a, I don't know, it was a shift that had been coming for a long time. And I have always, kind of kept my work first and never let it get in the way. But I was not liking who I was when I was drinking. It was like almost like a switch. And I was listening to this Andrew Huberman podcast about what drinking does to your mind. And
Right.
he was talking about how
It sort of fogs it up. Eh?
some people are just predisposed to being alcoholics, and they were just like things that I was just checking, like blackouts. And you know, most people when they go drinking, they're like after 2 drinks, they're like, cool, I'm done, you know. But I'm the kind of person that gets more energy, and I'm like another one, and it doesn't stop, you know.
Yeah.
And working in bar industry and DJing, it's like it
enables you.
Enables me, and I also just I don't have an off switch. So I can be fully functioning the next day, but there's just this little dimmer that's always on. And yeah, I just wasn't enjoying the person that I also became from these blackouts. Even though I was fully functioning and chilling with my friends, I was getting angry and being a bit nasty. And
that's
I was
not
like,
you.
It's not me.
No, you're literally one of the happiest people I know.
Exactly. So I didn't want to be that anymore. So I just kind of
good for you, man.
and stopped. And now I don't even want to. It's like there's not even like a little glimpse. Like Chris tried to bring me a tequila on Friday night because I was having a bit of a panic attack on stage.
Right. What was happening?
And I didn't know what controller we were using. I had never used it before, and I had pressed a button and I couldn't undo something, and it was like a pure like nightmare moment of like feeling like naked in front of everybody, you know.
But that's great. How long has it been now?
It's been almost 2 months.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. It's been good.
No,
Super,
good for you, man.
Good. Yeah.
Well, I think you will be an amazing DJ.
Yeah. I'm gonna have so much fun. It's gonna be fun.
It's not our event. It's at Sonnage, but we did it last year. It's to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, so it's called Kiss Me, I'm Pretending to be Irish.
Right.
Something like that. And we did it last year, and so they've included us again this year, and then they've said, you know, we kind of want to build the show with you guys.
Yeah.
So who do you want, and who would be nice to have around? And I immediately thought of you as a DJ.
That's going to be so fun.
So
I'm
it'll
excited.
be cool.
I love Sonnage. I really do.
It's a great venue.
It's such a cool venue.
And it's just technically amazing.
So amazing. The sound.
Yeah. No, and and you'd appreciate this, Graeme. They've got they've mapped these shapes that go up the roof.
Okay, that like projection mapping stuff.
Yeah, it's not even. I think it's just LED lights, to be honest. But they've mapped them in such a way that they can like twinkle them and change their colors, and it's perfect for like drum and bass parties, which I know they do a lot
but
of.
even live, like
for
I've noticed
music
as well,
shows,
they just like because they have all those guys in the booth.
Yeah.
And they'll just use them at the perfect moment and create such like an atmosphere. It's beautiful.
No,
I love
it's lots of
Sonnage.
fun. So that's going to be on the 16th of March.
And I love St. Paddy's.
Yeah.
It was my favorite holiday.
And now you'll just have cream sodas.
I wonder if they make a non-alcoholic Guinness, because Guinness is like my favorite beer.
I wonder. You can just have a loaf of bread.
I can. Or soy sauce. I think Guinness tastes like soy sauce.
Yeah.
A loaf of bread dipped in soy sauce.
There we go.
That's what you can drink.
There
that
we
mulch.
go. Delicious.
Lovely. Thanks, guys.
Yo.
I think that's it for today.
Is it? You want to talk about Monkey Man? We didn't talk about it last week.
Do you know about Monkey Man?
I don't. Tell me about Monkey Man.
Oh my God. Graeme actually shared the trailer.
Okay.
And what's so exciting now, you know, with the upgrade of the bioscope is that when you see these movies coming down the horizon, you're like, oh my God, this would be an amazing bioscope film.
Yeah.
Just like I wasn't sure where the Bob Marley would be. I needed to see it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a great film, but I'm not sure it's a bioscope film.
Okay.
All right.
But Monkey Man feels like a bioscope film. So what it is, it's produced by Jordan Peele, you know, from Key and Peele and Us and Get Out.
I've heard some problematic things about him lately.
Jordan Peele, how's that? Okay, worth paying attention to. But outside of his personal life, the dude understands genre and understands like horror or action and can get those things right.
Very fun.
So he's producing this film. It stars Dev Patel, who we know more from more serious films like
Lion and
what's the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire film?
That's the one I'm trying to remember.
With what's it called?
Danny Boyle movie. I can't remember what it's called.
Where he participates in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and wins Slumdog Millionaire.
Slumdog Millionaire. Thank you. It's also directed by Dev Patel.
And so this is directed by him. So he stars in it and he directs it. Here's my elevator pitch to you.
Okay.
Okay, imagine someone's like, oh, the movie.
Yeah.
Monkey Man. Imagine John Wick meets Bollywood.
Yeah.
Sick.
Hey?
Very cool.
So it's
Yeah.
like set in India, the slums of India, where the
Very
inequality
cool.
isn't, where the inequality is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts on this like kind of monkey mask and
Yeah.
fucks shit up.
That's sick. Okay,
It
cool.
looks amazing.
Yeah,
Cool.
it looks rad.
So he's like quite a serious guy. Like
Yeah.
Lion's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, Slumdog Millionaire was great. But now he looks like in the scenes, some of those action scenes, he looks
Yeah.
super competent
Awesome.
as like an action guy.
Yes.
Okay.
No, so Monkey Man's coming in April.
Here we are, like mid-April, I
I
think.
think it's early. Yeah, it's the first weekend of April.
Okay,
Cool.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those like I think people just need to know it exists.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like just go and look at the trailer. We'll put it in the description of this episode,
Yeah.
yeah.
and come and watch it at the bioscope.
Yes.
Is the bioscope still screening Poor Things?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. No. And
Good
we
to
like
know.
weeks on, we're having sold out screenings.
Cool.
This past Saturday, we had a sold out screening
Stop. I really want to watch it.
In-
Yeah.
in a heat wave, and so
Yes.
it's hard. It's hard
Wild.
to do that.
When you
Yes.
make the booking, just take off one seat,
Okay.
please.
It's such a lovely movie, and I'm
Yeah.
so like, a little bit like your virginity. You want your first time to be special,
Yeah.
and this was our first DCP film,
Yes.
and I'm just so glad it was that.
I'm so proud. I'm so happy.
It's
Like,
just so bioscope in so many ways, and I don't even know what that expression means, but it's just such a big, bold swing.
Yeah.
It's so wild and bonkers,
it's
but
so crazy.
in every way in which it's explicit and body violent. It's fun
yeah.
and ridiculous
Yeah.
and like visually stunning.
Yeah.
And
Everyone is, it's like another one film that everyone that I speak to is like, you have to watch this. This is a Marigold
penetrated.
film.
Yeah.
It's penetrated.
They're like, this is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Marigold film. You have to watch it.
Yeah. No, I'm just going to keep adding it. So yeah.
Thank you.
I'll
Okay.
make the
Eventually
space.
I will
Yeah.
come see it.
Keep an eye on the program and just let me know when you
I'm
want to
even
come.
subscribed. I get the emails like
But you're busy.
I am. I'm a busy lady.
Yeah,
Very
no, but
busy
we
lady.
appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for coming through.
Thank you. Yes.
And of course, lovely to hang out with you, G-Force.
Yeah.
Thanks for a lovely day at the video store.
Mm.
Thank you guys.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, our home base, for those who didn't know, is thevideostore.co.za. Please chime in on Facebook and Instagram. Let us know what you think about all the stuff we've chatted about. And we hope to see you again next week. All right.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye.